All right, a lot to discuss. Joining me now is constitutional and criminal defense attorney Pate. Also, James Cole, former deputy attorney general of the United States. Jim, you as well as former Attorney General Eric Holder, other former DOJ officials, signed an open letter, and it read in part, "Many of us have worked with Director Comey. All of us respect him, but his unprecedented decision to publicly comment on evidence in what may be an ongoing inquiry just 11 days before a presidential election leaves us both astonished and perplexed." Explain why astonished and perplexed.
Well, he has a number of very long-standing Justice Department policies that he violated. The long-term and long-standing view in the Justice Department is that you don't talk about investigations. And an even stronger policy is that when you are in election season, you do not say anything that has the potential to impact an election. And he did that. He violated both of those policies, and that was what the source of our astonishment was. There's wild allegations going on. There's unfounded allegations going on about what he said and what he meant. And these are just the kinds of things that those policies were designed to stop. We now see the need for those policies.
But hadn't he said to Congress that, if there was something new to let them know about, that he certainly felt he needed to, having told Congress he would update them?
Well, he did say that, and whether or not he should have said that, we can talk about it another time. But the question I have is, did he really know that there was something new to say? He doesn't know very much about these emails at this point. He doesn't know whether they're particularly relevant to this case. He doesn't know whether the FBI has already seen them. He doesn't know if it has anything to do with classified information. He should have been more careful in determining what it is he had before he went out and talked about it.
Paige, former Bush administration Attorney General Alberto Gonzales told CNN today that the Comey's actions were amount to an error in judgment. Is he right?
I don't think so. I think it's very easy for these former Justice Department lawyers to kind of step back and play armchair quarterback at this point. They were not in the hot seat. He had a very difficult decision to make, and I think given the fact he had been so public about his initial decision not to pursue criminal charges, it was his obligation to let Congress know that that had changed, and what is happening now is inconsistent with his earlier statement. So Jim Cole is right. We can think, was it appropriate to do that? Should he have even talked to Congress? Should he have gone public about the initial decision? But once he did that, I do think he had the obligation to come forward and let people know that he's going to look into it again. He shouldn't go into any details, and I don't think he is, but I don't think he could just sweep this under the rug or not mention it. He wasn't looking for this. He's not trying to investigate Hillary Clinton. I think the last thing he wanted to see were these emails dropped on his desk this close to the election.
Jim, was it a mistake for Comey back in July to go as far as he did?
I think it is. His role was as the investigator and as the head of the investigative agency. He's supposed to make his recommendations to the Justice Department in a confidential way so that they're not influenced by politics, they're not influenced by pandering to the press. And then the prosecutors are supposed to make that decision, which is what they did. But he started to short-circuit that process by going public back in July. Then when he talked to Congress, there has been a long-standing resistance by the department to talk about investigations to anybody, including Congress, because you don't want politics enter into those investigations. And then when he did this, I think the biggest problem that we have is that he created his own problem by making these pledges to talk. And I think at that point, he really has to take a hard look at what he's done. And I think going to the comments that were just made, once he says something about this, which I think there's a serious question whether he should have in the first place, he now owes it to the American people to give them the context, to give them the limitations of what it is that he knows and he doesn't know. And by not saying anything at this point, he's creating much more of a problem.
Anderson, I don't know how he could possibly...
do you think he... Go ahead.
I don't know how he could possibly say anything more without first actually reviewing the emails. We know now that they have a search warrant. They're indexing those emails. They will eventually be reviewed, but I think it would be irresponsible for some of the same reasons Jim Cole is talking about, for him to come out and try to describe any more details about the investigation. He's done what he could do. He's done what I think he had to do in letting people know he's going to look into this again.
Yeah, and it certainly seems like he's not going to be saying anything more. Jim Cole, I appreciate you being on Pate as well. Thank you. Just ahead, President Obama hosted his last